The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 256. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing woman on the show today. She's a women's leadership coach, speaker, and an author, and she also has her own podcast called Collective Alchemy Podcast, and I'm just really excited to have her on and share her story with us on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Arabelle Yi. Arabelle, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Sure. I'm good. Thank you. And thank you for the quick introduction, and thank you for having me on your podcast. So yes, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a women's leadership coach. And what I do in my business is I help women step into the personal leadership by really doing the self-exploration, self-development, and the inner work so that they can get in touch with who they truly are, bring their message out or gift in the world, and really make an impact in the world. So that's a very general version of what I do and how I help people.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Arabelle, what's your cultural background?
I'm actually Burmese. I'm from Burma. A lot of people are starting to know where Burma is. Yeah. So it's between India and Thailand and China. It's a big, massive country, but not many people were able to find Burma before because the country was closed out from the rest of the world for a few decades.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. I didn't even know Burma was closed out to the to the world. So, thanks for sharing that info. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Well, I would say that confidence is believing in yourself when no one else does.
Thanks for sharing that. I know when it comes to self-confidence, it really does start with a belief, especially in ourselves, especially, growing up as an Asian woman, like being programmed with all these things of, expectations of what to do by our peers and our family and society. Like, it's hard. It gets challenging, not hard. It gets challenging for us to believe in ourselves because we've been so prone to depending on others on what we should do with our lives, not realizing that if we go out there and just do our own thing and really believe in ourselves, we can create, the life that we want. So great quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
I would define self-confidence as, trusting in ourselves, which is basically the same thing as believing in yourself, right? And to me, it's about twofold. It's about trusting in ourselves and also trusting the journey or trusting in life. I find that from working with a lot of women from across the globe, I find that self-confidence is something that a lot of women are struggling with, whatever their background is. And even if they try and trust themselves and I emphasize on the word try and believe in themselves, if they don't believe in the process or if they don't believe in life or trust in life, that's when things can get a little shaky. So it's really, like you said, it can be challenging, but it's an ongoing practice like anything else. So, I say that confidence from working with women, what I find is that a lot of women tend to say that I lack confidence. That's why I can't do this yet because I need to build my confidence first. But then the thing is, you need to actually take action for you to build up that confidence. And it's an ongoing process. So just like that, learning to trust ourselves and trust in the process is an ongoing practice. And that's something that we need to become really aware and do it over and over again until it becomes automatic for us.
That is a great definition that you mentioned. And I love that you mentioned that, we have to trust the process and the journey. Because I think, like you mentioned, right, a lot of women don't really trust it because they don't trust in themselves. They're afraid of the unknown, thinking that, well, what if I fail? But not realizing, what if they could succeed? What if they can go out there and live the life that they truly want versus, the negative thoughts. And, sometimes having that journey is great and it's grateful because you never know what can come up, right? You get excited of what could happen. So thanks again for sharing that great definition. And Arabelle, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I would say that growing up, I was a pretty confident person. However, I wouldn't say that I'm confident like all round. You know, there are areas where I obviously lack in confidence, and those areas are mainly the areas that I felt or I still feel that I haven't learned enough. I don't know enough yet. Or when I'm comparing myself to other people and putting the other person on pedestal, making myself feel so small. And so that's when I feel that I'm not confident. And that's when I have to ask the question to myself, compare to who? So when in those situations, it's getting less and less, but I wouldn't say that I'm 100% confident 24/7. I think I would be lying if I say that. However, when I feel that I'm lacking confidence, I would feel really uncertain about everything. And I would doubt myself as well. And that inner critic would come in my head, repeating that I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to make a fool of myself, people are going to judge me, and all those negative self-talk comes in. So when that happens, I would say that I would not be taking any action in my life. I would pause everything because I'm just so busy looping around in that negative self-talk and not really getting anywhere. So yeah, so that's what my life is usually like when I find that I'm lacking confidence.
Thanks for sharing that. And, we're so great at playing the comparing game, right? It's like we compare our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. We don't realize, the obstacles they've gone through to get where they are today. And I think that's something most of us forget. It's like, they've been through the process, or they have a different journey, and we, it would be, a dishonor for ourselves to compare ourselves to others. And, what was that point in your life when you realized, like, you don't, you can go out there and do your thing, and, what was that aha moment that you realize you are confident enough to just go out there and live your life?
So I would say that when I actually finally stop listening to what other people say, because there are always a lot of people around us and they will always share their opinion to us, right? And then most of the time, they will also project their own beliefs, limiting beliefs, their own fears, and their own low self-esteem onto us. Not intentionally, but that's how it works, because we don't know what we're projecting onto other people. And when I found myself feeling like I don't have enough confidence, most of the time it's because it's either I'm listening to my inner critic or I'm listening to somebody else. So that's when, like you just mentioned, I actually stop listening to other people and I just go out and do my own thing, because I realized that what's the worst thing that can happen if I actually try it? It would be either a no, or it doesn't work this time. Then if it doesn't work, then I can do it slightly next time. And I always say that it's okay to fail again, fail more, and fail better next time, and fail forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really, we have to remind ourselves that we can't please everyone. And when we do, it's like we'll never get anything done. We'll just be stuck, in the position that we're in, because we're so consumed with what other people think, not realizing half the time they're not even thinking about you. They're too busy thinking about their own, problems and things that they have to do in everyday life, that, when you just go out there and do your thing, the right people will come into your life. And, with that realization, what's your life been like now?
Right now, I would say that my life is going at a rate that is so fast that sometimes I can barely keep up with myself. And definitely, I always say that my business, or even my professional bio, it can barely keep up. And that's only because I take action. And as I mentioned earlier before, confidence comes from taking action. And now when I have an idea, or even when I have some doubt, I actually don't allow myself to sink into that self-doubt or low self-esteem, but it's instead I go out and execute things with speed. And I always say that universe rewards speed. So when you actually go out and do things, and when I actually go out and do things and take action straight away, I get things done. My life and my business and everything is going so fast and it's in flow. And I would say that I'm very happy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And it's so true, right? It's all about taking action regardless of the results, because, we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to fumble. It's all about how we react to them that really matters the most. And Arabelle, if our listeners are tuning into your episode, they may be in a similar journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to them?
I would say that when they're doubting themselves, when they're doubting their power, they're actually giving power to their doubt. So whenever they feel that they are lacking confidence, or whenever they're doubting themselves, just patterns you can only break patterns when you interrupt them. So do something different. It's easier said than done, but it's actually easy if you make it a habit. So when you feel that you don't have enough confidence, or when you feel that you are lacking that self-esteem, go out and do it and do something different, because if you don't do something different now, you're just going to get the same results over and over again.
That's a great tip. And, I'm big on pattern interrupts, right? Even as something as simple as having a negative thought in my head, or when I start worrying about something, I just tell myself, like, cancel and delete. Because, when we treat, and it's something as simple as that, like, can make a huge difference when you create that habit, right? Especially, we have to realize our brains are kind of like a computer, right? When you put good stuff in, good stuff will come out. But when you put all the negative and bad stuff, that's when a virus happens, right? And then, what happens when you have a virus on your computer? It screws it up. So, when I learned to train my brain, to think good stuff, that's when it comes out. And yeah, it's not every day, but the more you work on yourself, the more you can kind of switch things around, because you've been so you've been focused on creating a better version of yourself, creating a better life, and creating a better mindset. So great tip that you mentioned. And Arabelle, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, definitely. They can go to my website, which is www.arabelleyee. I'll spell it ARABELLEYEE.com, arabelleyee.com. And they can also find me on Facebook with the same name, Arabelle Yee. I receive all the messages and emails that I receive. I reply to them personally, so I would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. To our listeners, if you want to connect with Arabelle, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Arabelle's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Arabelle for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheena. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
It was an honor having you on. It was so much fun. So thanks again. And to our listeners, be on a lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free self-talk tape for building self-confidence by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.